9, and we're going to be taking you through until 5 o'clock this evening. And it's our first show back after summer programming, and it's the 21st of January 2019. And a lot has happened. A lot has happened since last year, and I'll be talking you through that today. First up, we're going to be speaking with Tom, who is an anti-fascist comedian and organiser, and it's Tom Tanuki.
Thank you. That is
awesome.
That's what they call me. Thanks for having me.
That's fantastic. And then we'll be speaking with him pretty soon, and then after that we'll be speaking with Lydia Thorpe, who is a very strong Aboriginal activist, and we'll be speaking with her about her work on country, and talk to her also about so-called Australia Day, Invasion Day coming up, and looking at how councils are actually trying to force people to do citizenship ceremonies. It's all about changing the date, and a lot of Aboriginal people do feel that. And then after that, we will be speaking with Ali, who is an asylum seeker within Mita in Broadmeadows in Camp Road in Melbourne. There has been a hunger strike there, and we will speak to him about the 200 detainees on hunger strike. It's over now, so he'll give a report back on that, and he'll tell us a little bit about his story and talk about the fact that they want to end the guard abuses, sack and charge the abusers, end the brutal conditions inside the detention centre. So we've got quite an action-packed show. It's approximately 4:01, and I now welcome Tom to the program. Hello, Tom. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks for having me on here.
It is lovely to have you, and there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it's been a hectic break. It hasn't really been a break at all, in terms of anti-fascism, that's for sure. No,
and we never sleep. Yeah, and Tom, we were speaking off air about the St Kilda offshore, and about how some far-right people actually came to the foreshore to cause trouble.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to you just about that, but not just about that, also about the right-wing rising, and looking a little bit about a brief history. First of all, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this organising and comedian stuff?
Sure thing, Marisa. Well, look, I got actively involved in it 2016. I have a background of doing spoken word comedy stuff, but I started turning it over to being explicitly anti-racist or anti-fascist in nature when I started noticing that the Reclaim Australia mob, as they were between 2015 and 16, that they weren't going anywhere. And my first, contribution to anti-racism in Australia was through making a fake patriot group. So this was a satirical patriot called the Million Flag Patriots, billed as the strongest patriot group that Australia had ever seen. And the point of that, was undermining real patriot groups by taking the mick out of them. And ever since then, I've had a variety of non-violent and comedic efforts to undermine the far right, and to comment on them, or to frame my observations on them, and to make people laugh, by satirising or taking the mick out of the far right.
Sometimes things get a bit too serious, and comedy does play a very, very special role, doesn't it?
For me, it's my way of processing things. Other people, when they get angry, they get angry. When I get angry, I want to undermine something by taking the mick out of it. I need to process my anger or my dissatisfaction with things by laughing at it. And one beautiful thing I've been able to do since starting this stuff in 2016 has been to build this network, or coalition of people that think like me. Like, it's certainly not for everyone. Some people might see that I'm too flippant. They may think that way. I may see them as being too sour in their approach.
Well, it's not about being flippant, really. I think everybody has their own way of handling it, and comedy play is a great way of actually getting the message across.
Yeah.
So I believe that various white nationalist far right groups have called for vigilante type rallies on St Kilda Beach in early January. Why is that?
Well, I mean, they were aided. You know, my usual observation of the way that a lot of these popular moments for the far right have worked since 2015-16. You know, the moments where they've broken beyond the bonds of just having a strong internet followership and have sort of breached into the mainstream media. Those instances usually happen. You know, the narrative is begun by the mainstream media, and what we saw was that I think it was in late December, there was a viral video of a few Vietnamese people having a fight in St Albans with a few Sudanese people. That went viral, and then a current affair started capitalising hard on that by launching a series of, you know, exclusives, as they want to do, about, you know, racial tensions, which, you know, obviously that kind of thing plays really well. And it's you know, racial division is a really popular narrative for shows like Current Affair. It gets people afraid and it gets people watching their show. So they do it for money. They do it for advertising money. It's what the mainstream media do. But then you had organisers, people like Neil Erickson and Blair Cottrell, well-known, I guess, far-right nationalists and neo-Nazis themselves, start emulating those things. You know, they start capitalising off of that, those tensions. But instead of doing it for money, like the mainstream media, they're doing it for Facebook reach and to get lots of people to come to their event. So they started organising a Cronulla 2.0 style event.
And on that day, and indeed on many other occasions, the media protects the fascists when the anti-racist groups turn up?
Yeah, look, I mean, apart from one or two articles, there was a really good article by 10 Daily. You don't tend to see much about the community organising that goes in to try and show up and stop these people. I mean, there's this popular narrative fomented by, you know, Channel 7 since 2015-16, this whole both sides are bad as each other narrative. But at the end of the day...
That's not true, though, is it?
Well, I mean, you know, no, of course it's not. I mean, at the end of the day, these people had explicitly attempted to organise a race riot, and it was explicitly organised to try and marginalise and terrify and beat up Sudanese people who might have been on the beach at the time. Now, you know, South Sudanese people actively encouraged each other, as they had to do, to stay away. But can you imagine what would have been like for that community if no one had have rocked up to say to them, no, we don't believe in that. We believe in the opposite of you. You know, we stand with Sudanese people. Like, if you're a white Australian, or if you're not South Sudanese, you're in a safe position, relatively speaking, in a situation like that. They would have been targeting South Sudanese people there. So the fact that the community rocked up to say to them, no, we don't buy this race baiting, you know, that is not as bad as a race riot.
Exactly. But look, you know, this all comes back to the Liberal government and the vile rumours that are being spread about African gangs.
Yeah, totally.
And the way they're demonising people, you know, trying to terrify people. I don't want to go out, you know, to a restaurant at night because there are African gangs. It's a load of rubbish. Statistics have gone down. And I just wanted to hear your perspective as an organiser, anti-fascist organiser and indeed comedian, as to why do you think there has been a significant rise in the far right? All over the world, not just Australia. Well,
they've, you know, since I guess 2014-15, they have proven amazingly effective at organising and staying on message with each other in an international sense. If you broadcast an anti-racist message or a pro-migration, pro-immigration message, since then you'll get attacked by a horde of trolls from all over the world. If you're a person with explicitly, if you're a politician with explicitly far-right inclinations, you'll receive international support from far-right people all over the world. Steve Bannon will jet halfway across the world. You know, that person who famously, you know, sort of helped to craft Breitbart and helped Donald Trump at the outset of his presidency. You know, he'll fly over to help you, you know. He'll bolster your reputation. They have consolidated through very effective online messaging as an international force. But it is through the power of social media. It's through the power of propagating fake news and hate messages through there.
And all these Hitler signs and, you know, you could even construe it as, I couldn't help laughing, Tom. I was watching The Drum the other week, and I believe it was somebody from The Australian said, "Oh, look, they're just a bunch of baboons." You know?
Look, fascism, and they all hate this term. They think, oh, you call everyone a fascist these days. But, you know, when you've got people organising a race riot and other people rocking up to that thing doing sig hails, I'm happy to call you a fascist, you know.
But, you know, as well, sorry to interrupt, you know, Tom, I want to make it clear. I know we're kind of making it pretty lighthearted on this show. I don't want, if there are any survivors from the Holocaust listening or, you know, I don't want anybody to get offended, because Tom and I are really just... we do take it very seriously, don't we, Tom? It's pathetic.
I have organised consistently against
very dedicated.
The far right and neo-Nazis and what have you, and their organising efforts since 2016. I do it all the time.
And these men are just Blair and Neil Erickson and those people. They're criminals. They've got a criminal record anyway.
Totally, yeah.
And, you know, Aussie, like they're really into this no halal. It's ugly. A lot of the stuff is really, really ugly.
Their message doesn't require much consistency. I mean, you've talked about you know, anti-halal, anti-Muslim era. You know, they've largely jettisoned that in favour of the Sudanese thing. It will be another migrant group in 2 years' time. It doesn't matter who it is, as long as it's a message of division. I mean, fascism itself is all about you know, running this narrative that you're under threat of having your power or your identity taken away from you, and that the solution to that is to unite under a nation state or what have you. You know, there's these conflicting narratives going there, and it doesn't require much brain power. All it requires, you know, the message of people like Cottrell who stand up there and emulate great fascist orators like Adolf Hitler, of course. What they do when they stand up there and try to rouse people, as people might have seen from the footage of St Kilda, is they try to rouse people's soul, their heart, you know, with these messages that don't logically or factually stand up.
They're manipulative. They want to go and discuss. They want to go and discuss the African crisis, the African gang. It's absolutely disgusting.
That, you know, their message doesn't have to logically stand up. It doesn't have to at all. There was a really funny thing from St Kilda, can I say? There was a guy in the audience whilst Blair was speaking. You know, Blair paused for theatrical effect, as he's wont to do, with his chest puffed out, you know, peacocking around on the top of the hill in St Kilda. And someone yelled out, and first I'll do it in his voice and then I'll do it in mine, I'll translate it. He goes, "Rage against the machine, do what I tell ya!" Now, that was in patriotese, so let me translate for you. He yelled, "Rage against the machine, you do what they tell ya." So he's actually quoting a Zach De La Rocca lyric from Rage Against the Machine, which is an explicitly anti-racist, leftist, I guess, revolutionary song, if you will.
It's weird.
But they don't know. They don't know what they stand for. But they don't have to, you know. I mean, one small blessing is that we've got to be grateful that people like Cottrell and Erickson can't organise these movements to save their life.
Absolutely. Tell us about, we were speaking off air about Invasion Day coming up and the march coming up on Saturday, which I'll advertise soon.
Yeah.
What's Are they coming? Are they just going?
The organisers of the attempted race riot at St Kilda have announced that they're intending to attend the Australia Day parade being held by, you know, being the government organised Australia Day parade in the city on this coming Saturday on the 26th. And they've said that they're doing that because they fear that the Invasion Day rally, which will be significantly larger, as it always is, you know, it gets tens of thousands of people that, you know, recognise our modern history for what it truly is. They're worried that the two will coincide, but I don't believe they will. So what I want to know, and I guess I want to know this from the Victorian government, is are families safe attending the Australia Day Parade?
Are they indeed? Yeah.
And does the Australian government, whether it be the state or the federal, do they endorse the same crowd that went to St Kilda to Sig Heil and to make Hitler gestures? Do they endorse that same race riot crowd led by people like Neil Erickson attending the Australia Day Parade, billed as a family-friendly event this Saturday? And if so, what does that mean for the Australia Day Parade? Has it effectively become a neo-Nazi event?
Absolutely. You know, Tom, that's such a good point that you've made. So let's throw it out there. Throw it out there down the airwaves. And while we're at it, let's announce the march. We are calling on members of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community and our supporters to stand with us on Invasion Day 2019, Saturday the 26th, an annual day of protest. And we will stand together and march together as our elders have for the last 81 years this January 26 to protest the ongoing colonial violence on our people. This invasion 2019, we want this violent colony of so-called Australia to know we do not accept. But where is it? Do you know?
It's being organised in the city. The event is online. If you look up the Warriors of the Aboriginal Resistance page, you'll be able to find the event.
Here it is. I found it. Saturday at 10:30am to 1pm, Parliament of Victoria. And it's Narra, Melbourne. That's the Aboriginal land. Invasion Day 2019. Abolish Australia Day's racist and discriminatory policing practices and courts which incarcerate our people at the highest levels in the world.
Such an important event. I can't stress enough to everyone that follows my pages online and what have you that, you know, everyone that it's important to get down. I view it as a day to acknowledge the facts of what happened since British invasion here in 1788. The facts of it. You know, not to indulge this delusional nation-state fantasy propped up by Anzac myths and what have you that we've just got. You know, we can just wave hand flags with the Australian flag on them.
That's right.
To me, that's a delusion. And
absolutely.
I also view it as a day to pay my respects and to show some respect and, to celebrate the survival of these many cultures, the original inhabitants of this country. And I view it as a day to do that as well, you know, and I just think, you know, I love that these things have been ballooning, these events have been ballooning in recent years. I think it shows that great social change is coming. Call me an optimist, but that's what I like to believe.
No, it's true. Now, pretty soon I'm hoping we can speak with Lydia Thorpe, who will enlighten us and give us more information about that. She's an Aboriginal activist and was actually a Greens MP of Northcotte for quite a while there. But before we go, Tom, I'm wondering, are you able to tell us any podcasts that you'd like us to tune into, or is that private?
In terms of podcasts, I mean, actually, I should tell you that in the coming month or two, I'm slated to be kicking off a podcast with my mate Nadine. We'll be kicking that off soon, so I will be announcing that through my page in the coming weeks. So please keep an eye on my pages. And if you look up Tom Tanuki online, then you should be able to find me on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. And I will actually say within the next day, 2 days at the latest, people can expect a video from me, a long-form video. I've been working on those lately called What to Do on Australia Day, and it's an in-depth analysis of the various options that we're facing on the day. And you know, my conclusion as to what I think you could probably guess my conclusion as to what I think people should be doing on the 26th of January. As I said before, I think they should be attending the Invasion Day March, certainly in Melbourne, and the events all organised all over.
Absolutely.
But please keep an eye out for that on my YouTube channel.
Thank you so much for coming onto the program, Tom.
Thank you for having me.
Now I'm going to put on an announcement and we'll see what's happening about lining up Lydia.
Are you 18 years and over? Have you been stopped by a Victorian police officer or protective service officer in the last 10 years? Would you like to contribute to research that aims to inform law reform and litigation strategies to prevent over-policing? Go to policestopsurvey.online for more information and to take part. That's policestopsurvey.online, a 3CR supporter.
In 2016, 3CR published a book to celebrate the station's 40th birthday.
Years in the making, Radical Radio, celebrating 40 years of 3CR, is a visually stunning account of the people and ideas that make up this dynamic station.
At 300 pages, the book includes hundreds of images and over 50 features on programs, people, music and technology from across the decades.
3CR's Radical Radio book is now on sale for just $30.
You can get your copy of 3CR's book at the station during business hours at 21 Smith Street, Fitzroy.
Or online at 3cr.org.au/shop.
Get a piece of your own history.
On sale for just $30.
3CR's Radical Radio is available now.
And you're back with 3CR Community Radio, the Doing Time show, and this is our first show back, and I'm raring to go. So, hello, Lydia. Welcome to the program. Hello, Lydia.
Hello.
Oh, Lydia, you there? Yeah,
Yes, I am.
You were missing in action there for a bit.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Lydia, it's so great to have you, and I wanted to honour you and have you back on our first show back after summer programming.
Deadly, thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, now I'm wondering, we were speaking off air about talking about a couple of things, and I wanted to start off, Tom, who's an Anti Fascist Organiser, was here just before, and he's actually just off to a meeting with the Warriors of Aboriginal Resistance now to discuss the upcoming Invasion Day March and various other things. Could you just talk to us a little bit about Invasion Day and about how the councils are trying to the government is trying to force the councils to have citizenship ceremonies on that day?
So Invasion Day, obviously, we all know what that means to Aboriginal people in this country. I think we've been talking about that long enough for people to have an idea of the hurt, the pain that we feel, even the anxiety, leading up to the day, it's huge. And you just see now all the racism starting to come out from certain sections of community. In terms of the council and, in the parliament of this country and the right-wing government such as the Libs, what do you expect? They'll do anything to keep their national identity the way they think it should be, and it's quite a divisive move. I think I thought Morris ScoMo would have he could have been quite brave and not done something like that so close to an election, which he's going to lose anyway. So I think that, he's desperate and he's out of touch, and it's not what the rest of the country, from what I'm seeing, is supporting.
No.
The councils, that they represent their community. They're the closest government in terms of the three tiers of government, closest to the people, and they're listening to their community. And people don't want to celebrate. A lot of councils don't want to celebrate Australia Day and don't want to hold those ceremonies. And the council that the municipality that I live in Darabin, certainly don't want to be holding citizenship ceremonies. In fact, we need to even look at the whole issue of citizenship ceremonies and people coming into our country becoming citizens. There's no acknowledgement, there's no Aboriginal participation from traditional owners whose land it is. So it creates a whole lot of fate. But, you know, they're on their way out, the federal government, and they're clutching at straws. And I know, you know, Darebin and Yarra and possibly Moreland Council will fight it to the end. And, you know, it's going to be such a big fight that that government won't be in place by the time, you know, any big decisions are made.
I refuse to celebrate Australia Day. It's an insult, and it's Invasion Day. I refuse to acknowledge it, and I've never been to the parade. Actually, I don't think I've ever been to the parade. I mean,
I have.
except when I'm on a rally. Like, I don't actually just participate with the officials, but yeah.
Yeah, well, the one that I went to was basically invading
Exactly.
the parade.
That's how I do it. Yeah, that's how I do it.
It was a really great feeling.
It was.
It really exemplified, you know, how separate people like ScoMo want to keep this nation.
ScoMo.
And
yeah.
there were lines and lines of tourists waving Australian flags and thought that we were just part of the parade.
Yeah.
And we ended up having quite a few of those people join in the rally and get an education about the true history of this country and what is really going on.
It's not all gloom and doom.
Yeah.
And, you know, Lydia, I've read so many stories about elders and spoken to elders that don't even have birth certificates. You know, there's some of them don't even have certificates of birth in this country.
That's right. And, you know, there's some people choose not to have a birth certificate
That's right.
well, because then you're choosing to participate in the colonised system that's
exactly
been imposed on us. So, you know, there's pros and cons to it. I mean, you need a birth certificate to participate in society these days, but I certainly understand those who have maintained their sovereign status and not participated in this colonial.
Well, there has to be sovereignty, and, you know, we can always go back to the passport ceremony the Ray Jackson and other elders organised. Lydia, I was wondering if you could just, I know this is kind of following on, I mean, because climate change is very relevant, isn't it? And the forests are relevant to colonisation, the logging of forests. Could you talk to us a little bit about what you've been doing in the forests?
So when I started as a Greens MP, I got more involved in the environment movement as such from a white perspective, and I didn't realise, I suppose, how separate even that movement is, and how sovereigns aren't part of the movement. They're not even part of the conversation. They're not at the table, and all these decisions and campaigns are being made predominantly without the traditional owners of that part of the country.
Yes.
So rather than, you know, condemn the environment movement and get everybody peed off with, you know, their white privilege, I decided that, you know, we need to hold them to account, firstly, but also bring our sovereigns into that space and create some conversation about what a united effort or front it would be, what it would look like if we actually, you know, took the lead from sovereigns who know that country better than anybody else, but supported by the greenie or the environmental movement and campaign. So an example of that is Talangi Forest, which covers 3 clans, and they are, one of them is mine, which is the Gunai Nation, which takes in 2 of my clans. The other is Wurundjeri, and the third is Taungurung. So I had a meeting with those clans and got selected environmentalists to come and provide a briefing on what is actually going on in that forest. We did a visit out to the logging coup. We talked about what totems were becoming extinct or endangered, and not one sovereign person had any idea of the extent of the ecocide going on their country.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, the extent of the logging is, it's still, 7 mcgs per day on their country that they had no idea about. They had no idea that their totem was at risk of extinction. So that raises a very big question in my mind, firstly, about the environmental movement and who's been involved in all of those
Absolutely.
campaigns. But secondly, the native title process is meant to protect our interests. So that's something that I'm really passionate about and I continue to work on, and I want to bring more clans into the forest to have a look at the devastation.
Do you do this with just Aboriginal people, yes? With the clans, that's it?
No, I do it with some environmentalists who've been involved in some campaigns.
I'm so glad. They need to know.
They've on a bit of a journey. They've come on a journey. They've had a bit of an education and been, spent their time and their resources to make these meetings happen. We've had many discussions, and they've completely changed their tactics and the way they do business on our country.
It's about time. Yep,
and I respect that, and I respect those people.
Absolutely.
And we'll be able to. We can now continue to work together to save the forest and save those totems, but we'll do it being led by sovereigns of that country.
Well, it's really important. I've been saying this for years. When you do a blockade or when you're organising, have an elder present. Get an elder from that country. Let's talk about it. We all have to unite.
Well, it's not just about having people present. It's having people at the decision-making table.
Yes.
On what it looks like.
Correct.
Before we get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, even the state government, the Andrews government, set up this body that looked at the logging and the practices there and what they could do about it. They had not one sovereign person around that table. They had all of the environment groups and the union groups, but not one sovereign person.
I'm not surprised,
but how can they be making those decisions without us?
You've got to have it at government level, absolutely. You've got to have it at government level. You need to have it at the level of the activists. It's got to be about unification and accountability to country and clan.
That's right. It's not about dividing people. It's not about, that we're not interested in saving our country. The reason why we haven't been out there on the front line for country is because we're too busy on the front line for stopping our people from dying in prisons or stopping our children from being taken away. So the other element of this is that the environmental movement needs to also help us with our movement, and that is to get on the front line with us to stop the incarceration and killings of our people in prisons and at the hands of police, and stop our children from being taken away. Then we can have enough energy and time to continue to fight for other things that are important, like our country, like our forests and everything that goes with that.
Lydia, it's great. There is just one question I just wanted to clarify for listeners. When you say totem, that's linked to the animals, isn't it? Yes?
Yes, and it's it's our responsibility. For example, one of my totems is musk duck, and that's a gunai totem, and we don't eat duck. My family don't eat duck. We protect duck.
Yeah.
And that is because that is our responsibility as sovereigns of that country, to nurture and protect our totem, because that is that's part of our dreaming, it's part of our connection.
It's
Once
really...
that's gone,
Yep.
that's a lot goes with that.
It's so important, Lydia, what you talk. I had a feeling this interview was going to be really important. And it is. It's important because these things are not discussed in government. It's not discussed in the boardrooms of the multinationals. And it's certainly not discussed in the Queen's Palace.
Certainly not, because they haven't, they refuse to talk about it. They refuse to understand it, because it threatens their sovereignty, which is what it all comes down to. We have never ceded sovereignty of this country, and we never will. So to acknowledge our totems, to acknowledge our connection to this land and everything that belongs to it, is also to acknowledge our sovereignty.
Lydia, it's great. Hopefully we can have you back pretty soon. But just any concluding comments you wanted to make about country and about what else we can do, and specifically leading up not just to Invasion Day, but the whole year?
Well, I think that, we do need to unite as a nation, and the way to do that is to connect with sovereigns and what, look at the fights that we're having. Look at the campaigns we're running. We're running that on nothing. We're running that out of our own pocket. We're not resourced the way these environment campaigns are resourced, for example. So I think that to walk with us and work with us, you've got to give up some of your privilege that you have as a white Australian. And that means that these campaigns need to be resourced so that we can stop these injustices. It's not just about walking with us on the day, once every year. It's about giving up some of your privilege and some of your resources, and, as Uncle Rob says, pay the rent.
Yeah.
Start putting some resources into things that will make a real difference, so that we can unite in an equal footing.
Lydia, it's true what you're saying, but I wanted to also say as well at the same time that you've got your white Australians that are disabled, that wouldn't have privilege either. As well, they also have their struggles.
And I respect that. But ours is deeper. We can't change the colour of our skin, and we can't change what's happened to us over the last 230 years. So I respect that, and those fellas are more than welcome to walk with us, because what we're fighting for will help them fellas too. But I'm talking more about these big organisations.
Oh yeah, of course.
That wheel in
the government.
Welcome to country. They wheel in the black fella when they want it, but aren't prepared to share some of their resources to help make a real difference. And that's what I'm challenging them on. And join with us on Invasion Day, and come to the dawn service and reflect upon the hundreds of thousands of Aboriginal people that have died fighting for this country as part of the resistance.
Absolutely, and to reiterate to listeners as well that it's really important we all have to unite together.
Yes.
Lydia, thanks so much for coming, and we're going to be speaking with Ali soon, who's an asylum seeker imprisoned in a detention centre in Melbourne, and we're going to be speaking to him very soon.
I'll give him my love and support, because this is our country and we welcome refugees.
Good on you, Lydia. Thanks so much, and see you on Invasion Day.
Deadly. See you then.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.
And that was Lydia Thorpe speaking about her work on country and some of the very, very challenging things that are happening right now with Invasion Day and indeed throughout the whole year.
.3CR, always bringing you the latest union news.
They're coming after us at the moment. They want to get rid of penalty rates, the big push from businesses. They want to get rid of all the things that you and I have fought for.
So there's tens of thousands of jobs gone contracted out to sham contracting arrangements.
On 8:55 a.m. and on the web, 3cr.org.au.
And you're back with the Doing Time show. It's approximately 4:40. Hello, Ali. Welcome to the program.
Hi, hello. Hi. I just want to thank as well Lydia for what she said, welcoming her on, in the country and that. Thank you very much for love and really good support for us.
Absolutely. And Ali, this is also a very important interview. And can you just tell listeners where you are right now and how you got there?
I'm in Mita Detention Centre in North.
Broadmeadows?
In Broadmeadows in Melbourne.
Okay. And what happened? Tell us a bit of background.
I committed a crime in Australia. It wasn't actually a really serious crime. It was just driving offences. Driving unlicensed car and faulty stop driving. I end up getting 18 months, so 18 months and 18 months. So all of the 3 years, but 18 months and then parole 18 months. And then after I finished my sentence, and then I was free, they picked me up straight away from the prison to another prison, which is Yonge Hill Detention Centre. We call it Yonge Hill, just a hell. It's not actually a heaven. Really, really bad. Like the jail actually more better than Yonge Hill, where we was living in there. I end up in Yonge Hill, and since then I've been in detention centre system 2 years, and then I keep going to court. Federal court judge, she was a lady, a woman in Perth. She granted me, I won the case, and they appealed against me. I went to full federal court, and then I win the case against three judges at full federal court in Perth. And they still rejected me, appeal against me, and then I'm just waiting for next appeal. Could be happening next year, could be happening in 2 years. It's just that what they actually doing. And instead of spending money on this innocent people, just locking them up like that, I done, and I'm remorseful for it, and I regret what I done in Australia. Really, really bad. I already, I done even double punishment more than what I deserve, and I deserve it more. Because I done it to myself. It was my choice, no one else's choice. All I need is just like mercy on us. It's like, where's the mercy? Where's the human rights of the innocent people to put them, locking them up like that?
Absolutely. And Ali, so you're in detention at the moment. So why are you being detained now? I'm just waiting because they keep appealing against me. And then now when I went full federal court, the three judges tried to prove me visa, they appeal against me again. And then we going back to the tribunal. They said, we agree not to deport Ali, so they can't deport me because of background in Iraq. I was working in the army with the U.S. Army, helping them and that inside Iraq. Did you seek asylum in Australia?
Yes, I came from asylum seeker from Turkey camp to Australia straight away by a plane. I didn't come by boat.
So you didn't kill anybody. You didn't kill anybody. You just had some driving offences.
I never touched any person in Australia, even in my time in the prison or in detention. I'm not even violent.
You know, Ali, it's pretty crazy, and the reason why, it's you and I have had a couple of conversations off air, and it's so important that. It was important that you talked to us about that background, but I also want to ask you to just talk a little bit about the hunger strike that happened in the centre, And why did that happen? And were you involved in that?
Why it did happen, the crime, you mean?
No, the hunger strike, the actual hunger strike.
Okay,
in
so
the centre.
Hunger strike is going on. It's been now about 8 days in Yonge Hill, and then today officially, Melbourne, we went back again on hunger strike because we went on 7 days before. Even the last 8 days, Yonge Hill went on. We went last fortnight on hunger strike for a whole week because we didn't have a TVs in the room or couches or chairs, and they said it's coming, but until now it didn't come. So they lied to us. So now we came back on hunger strike again. We give them 1 week to actually bring everything to us, but they didn't bring them. So the chairs, couches is still until now in Mita North. It didn't come.
So just for listeners, sorry to interrupt, Ali, so we can tell listeners what's happening here. So basically this is in Camp Road in Broadmeadows. I used to visit detainees there, and we used to be allowed to bring food in. But now people aren't allowed to do that. It's more like a prison-type setting, isn't it?
Yeah, like my mum sometimes, when I was in Perth, she tried to bring me like just a frozen pies or something just to eat. I'm hungry and I want something to eat different in a visit or something. She's not allowed to. They chuck them in the bin. They told her not allowed to anymore by order force. Why? It's like I'm a human. I'm allowed to eat. You can't. So you detain me. You control me. You make me sleep when you want it. You make me wake up when you want it. You want to make me like angry when you want it. You want to make me happy when you want it. And then as well, you control my food, what I eat, what I drink.
Yeah, and indeed the conditions sound to me very militarised in there.
Inhuman. The condition inhuman. I'm not sure if you've seen the videos I've been posting on my Facebook page, the 541 Circle and ERT page on Facebook. If you see the video, it's a horrible condition. Actually, even was the New Zealand TV news actually done with us as well, a video call, and we showed them on the camera, and it was on TV last 5 days ago. We showed them the toilet got no doors. It's just next to the bed. So if my roommate in the room and I want to use toilet, I have to wake him up and tell him, can you get out of the room because I want to use the toilet, please? Otherwise, no privacy. I'll be like at the front of him, like shower and that, no doors at all. No doors, no curtain in the toilet, no nothing.
And there are no chairs except for metal stools?
Yeah, metal stool, a little metal stool the size of maybe 20 centimeter, just bolted to the ground, welded to the floor of the room, and you can't sit down on it because your back and everything get numb if you sit down on it more than 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It's just not fair. It's like there's not even one detention center like that. Even circle managers, I don't want to mention names, but they said Border Force done that detention center, the new one, after they closed MIDC. They done it on purpose to break people up and make them not fight them cases so they can sign.
Yeah, and also to make it so intolerable that people decide they want to go home.
Yeah.
So
all I want to say, like the Minister Mita Dutton, immigration minister, I think he's minister. Peter Dutton, why are you holding us like that, and why are you actually detain us?
Ali? Hello, Ali? Are you still there? I think there's been a bit of a glitch in the phone. Sometimes things can happen in those centres. A guard may have taken his phone, or there may have been something going on there, but it is extremely difficult, and indeed some of the demands that they've had with the hunger strike is close the camps from Manus and Nauru to Mita, and also looking at the conditions to try and also stop attacks and abuse from guards. And indeed, the government has said that there have been no hunger strikes. Go figure. I'm just going to go in an announcement, and we're going to see if we can get Ali back and see what can be done. My apologies that there's been no music at this stage because we've just been having a lot happening today. Indeed, having a special broadcast also on Invasion Day. So I will put on an announcement and see if we can get Ali back, even for the last couple of minutes.
Are you 18 years and over? Have you been stopped by a Victorian police officer or protective service officer in the last 10 years? Would you like to contribute to research that aims to inform law reform and litigation strategies to prevent over-policing? Go to policestopsurvey.online for more information and to take part. That's policestopsurvey.online, a 3CR supporter.
Yeah, I'm afraid we've lost Ali. And unless I get something from the programmer who's doing the calls, I'll just continue announcing some Invasion Day events. But yeah, we had to bring you that interview with him just to show how asylum seekers are treated, not just in detention, but just demonised. Just so many things that are happening. It's approximately 4:51, and just wanted to announce a forum that's coming up, January the 22nd, 7 days of resistance, decolonising solidarity, what can I do? As a part of 7 days of resistance campaign leading into Invasion Day 2019. I have just received some information. Robert?
Yeah, I have a gentleman named Ian from Sydney. You can
yes.
He's not with him.
What line, please?
It's on line 5.
Yeah, I'll just speak with Ian now, and we'll continue this discussion. Here we go. Hello, Ian. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, hi, yeah.
Yeah, I think they might have taken his phone away.
Oh, anything's possible. Yeah, it's possible like that. Although they've been pretty okay about the phones, but yeah.
No, because he was right in. It didn't sound to me like the reception was cut off, Ian. Like it just.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
it just.
Okay. Well, there could be. There could be an argument. We'll have to find out.
We'll have to find out. But Ian, you know, we were just in mid-sentence, just talking about the conditions in Mita. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's all summed up by the fact that the people who were transferred from Maribyrnong, high security Maribyrnong, to Mita North. Actually, the initial strike in 8th of January was about going back to Maribyrnong. The purpose-built places, whether it's in Yonga Hill or in Mita, are like a high security prison. You know, people, it's all stainless steel, chairs are bolted to the floor, there's one TV that you really can't look at because it's in the dining room and the chairs are bolted to the floor so that you can eat at the tables, not look at the TV. People are locked down. In Mita, they're locked down from midnight to 7 a.m. extraordinarily. So it's all those things. You know, there's constant complaints about the food, the arbitrary treatment, the fact that people are routinely handcuffed, even for medical appointments. People have seen some of the videos of the bashings and the assaults that the Serco guards are responsible for. So you have got a very high security, prison in terms of the conditions, and on top of that, there is no oversight. There's no appeal. So we put out the footage of the two people being assaulted in Mita South in early January. There's no recourse. There's no place to make a complaint. There's no that people cop it. People are put into punishment cells, and just the whim of the Serco officers.
But it never used to be like that, Ian, at that centre in Broadmeadows.
It's got a lot worse. I mean, since Border Force actually took control of the detention centres, that's a bit over 12 months ago now, it has become a much more militarised operation. So you've got the black-shirted, Border Force guards, hang around, but they've got meant to have oversight of the whole thing above Serco. We've seen all the issues about, the drug testing, the restrictions on, on visiting, the restrictions on bringing food into the detention centre. I mean, there's a whole range of ways in which the militarisation of the detention centres themselves has gone along with, substantially increased powers that the minister got under the Act, the compulsory revocation, sections of the Act, the ability of the minister to cancel visas, on the basis of, national interest or character, has created a very, very, severe, aggressive, draconian climate inside the detention centres now.
Extremely. And in fact, that's why we've rung you, Ian, just to discuss that particular aspect, because we were just starting to talk about that, which is why I'm a bit suspicious, that it just felt like the phone was taken.
Look, it is possible. They don't like the phones. I mean, the fact that we won in the court, to have the phones, they resisted that with everything that the government had. And of course, they still intimidate people. I put out a little clip this morning with a press release where one of the Ali, probably the man you were talking to, actually they wanted to search his room. They evacuated the compound. They put the emergency response team, into the compound to actually search his room. And the degree of intimidation, they found nothing, but, there is a constant climate, of intimidation. Even the fact that they're willing to carry out the very, very aggressive arrest, of people, in spite of the fact there are phones in there, gives some kind of indication of the way in which the ERT, the Serco Guards and Border Force, respond, to any questions that there being sort of surveillance of what they do.
Absolutely. And could you just remind listeners of what the name of your organisation is, please, Ian?
I'm with the Refugee Action Coalition in Sydney. There's Refugee Action Collective in Melbourne. It meets on Monday nights and down there. We meet on Monday nights in Sydney. But if there's anyone in Melbourne who'd like to get to, but I'd encourage people to get to the Refugee Action Collective meetings in Melbourne on Monday nights. On Monday nights.
Please Google Refugee Action Collective if you want to know more, or contact 9419 8377 and someone will give you that information. Ian, thanks so much for talking to us, and I'm sure we'll be speaking soon. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, okay. Thanks
Take
for
care.
going to the trouble.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. And that was Ian from Sydney speaking to us about Mita. Just very quickly, I've got to go soon, but this forum that's coming up, it is a panel. I've run out of time, but it's a fundraiser for the Tanya Day family in the nearing trial of deaths in custody in March. Please Google it and find out where that panel is, or call me from the Doing Time show and I'll give you that information. Got to go. 4 interviews.